I wanted to talk about uncertainty and a very real-world example for us right now. So I'm making this video on August 25th, and this is information about the Hurricane Laura and what we know so far. This website is Space City Weather, which is a team of folks that work south of Houston that do weather forecast just for the Houston area. And there's a lot of discussion here about the uncertainty and what might happen. So let's just take this graph, for example. This is produced by NOAA, and it's showing the probable path of Laura. The shaded area here is where the center of the storm might be. And you can see that for near term, they're fairly certain about where it's going to be. But as you project into the future, so today's Tuesday, by the time we get to Sunday, so 5 days from now, this storm could be anywhere from basically Canada, or Maine, that's Maine, down to North Carolina. That kind of huge area there. There's a lot of uncertainty, and everything within these bounds is considered a possibility for the center of the storm, and the actual effects of the storm obviously go beyond the edges. And so why does this matter? Well, if NOAA just said the single black line was their point estimate, and they didn't give us this cone of uncertainty, then we wouldn't really be able to know where we should be making precautions. So let's look a little bit down at this current storm. This is storm surge. So this is showing that there could be storm surge all the way from Freeport over to Ocean Springs, and in different levels. So Galveston Island has already been evacuated for safety reasons because storm surge is so dangerous. So this information is to help. We don't know where it's going to go, but there could be storm surge across this area, and that surge could range anywhere from 2 to 4 feet in Freeport up to 7 to 11 feet in Vermilion Bay. So why is this important for us to know? Well, if we have businesses in this area, then we might need to take precautions. For example, there are a lot of petrochemical facilities here, so places that, or the refineries, they take crude oil and they refine it into things like gasoline and aviation fuel, or chemicals. They turn it into things like nylon. Those facilities are big, and you have to take care of them, right? So you don't want anything to happen. You don't want them to get flooded. They're dealing with volatile materials. They have an OSHA rating of Class 1 Div 1. That's the highest level because they're dealing with volatile materials, volatile meaning explosive materials. So if you own a refinery on the Gulf Coast, then this information is saying that you should take precautions to shore up your facilities. One thing that they will do is they will leave a certain amount of fuel in the storage tanks that more than they would have otherwise left. That's called the hurricane heel, and that's to keep the structural integrity of these storage containers. So you've seen them off the interstate, the really big round containers that hold gasoline and diesel. So those are normally just used for transit. Fuel comes in, is stored temporarily, and then is put into trucks and shipped out to gas stations. But for right now, they will be leaving extra fuel in those facilities to make sure that the structural integrity of that tank doesn't fall apart. So if you imagine like a plastic cup is really weak if there's nothing inside, but if you leave water inside the cup, then that actually gives it extra strength. At the same time, that means that the supply chain is not operating the way it normally should. So there's disruptions on the supply chain and how much money these different businesses can make. right now you probably have all the people who own gas stations in this area trying to fill up their tanks as much as possible. So these are the tanks that are below the gas stations to make sure they have fuel, preparing for the possibility that they will not be able to get refueled, and so you get additional gasoline in the near future. Here's other information that you could use if you own businesses in this space on the danger you might be facing. If you own, say, Schlitterbahn here on Galveston Island, what do you need to do to prepare? And these people need to be evacuated, and how would that work? So even though we don't know precisely where the hurricane will go, there's uncertainty. We still need to make precautions given that uncertainty. If you look back up at our map here, so there's this probable region. This does not mean that anybody here in Florida should be taking precautions, right? While we don't know exactly where it's going to go, we know it's not coming to Florida. It also means that people down here in Mexico, say like Veracruz, Mexico, are not in danger of this hurricane coming to them. That's beyond the kind of confidence interval we have here. But for those of us in this range, we do need to take precautions and prepare for Hurricane Laura that could make landfall. It looks like late Wednesday night, early Thursday morning. So that's the information we have today. This is updated several times a day from NOAA based on the models that they run. And then we use that information to help make better decisions. So this is an example of using analytics and our understanding of uncertainty to drive decision making.